Welcome to the Enrichment Today podcast, hosted by Dr. Amy Blansett and the Drew Lewis Foundation. This podcast covers topics to improve stability and find tranquility in your life. Join us as we discuss topics to improve your financial health, change your limiting beliefs, increase your wellness, and so much more. If you like Enrichment Today, make sure to follow the Drew Lewis Foundation and Enrichment Today on social media. Now sit back, relax, and learn to break some crayons with us.
Hi everybody, this is Holly Melton and I am with the Drew Lewis Foundation. I am their Director of Development and as Amy Blansett likes to let everyone know, I am a reformed financial advisor. I've come into the nonprofit world from banking and investments and absolutely fell in love with the mission of the Drew Lewis Foundation. And this is our podcast, Enrichment Today, where we bring in fabulous individuals and organizations from the community that are making a huge difference. And sometimes you guys don't know about them. So I am here to talk about all the good works that today our fabulous guests are Morticia and Fester, and they are with BACA, which is an acronym that stands for Bikers Against Child Abuse. And this organization has changed so many of my ideas about how kids are helped, who helps them, and all the magic that goes on that we don't know about. But I want to get this underway because there's a lot for everyone to learn about all the benefits, just the great story behind BACA. So let me introduce one more time, Fester and Morticia. Those are their very cool biker names. I don't know their real names, and that's okay. That's all a part of the interesting part about BACA is they assign names to the kids and nobody knows their real names. Anonymity is a big part of it, and it's an important part of it, which Fester will explain and Morticia will explain. So let me get the ball rolling. Fester and Morticia, please. I want to hear all about BACA, and I'll probably interject with a question or two, but I'm going to let you pretty much take control.
Sure.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you. Thank
The
you.
opportunity to share this information.
Yeah, absolutely.
BACA was founded in 1995 by a child play therapist. And what was happening is the young man he was working with would do really good when he was in therapy. But then when he would go home, he would regress. So this kept going on for a couple months, and finally the therapist is like, what's going on at home? And he says, the person who hurt me keeps driving by my house. And this was back in Provo, Utah, back in 95, which was very small at that time. So everybody knew each other, small town. So he started talking to this young man, and he's like, look, I haven't been out of the house in over 3 months. And he says, okay, I'm going to work on something. So what our founder did was he got a bunch of his biker buddies together, and they went to visit this young man. Hung out with him for about an hour or so. The next day, this young man was seen out riding his bicycle through the town because he was not afraid of the person who hurt him driving by his house all the time. And that's why he wouldn't go outside, because he knew that the perpetrator was driving by the house. So he's had this empowerment just from that hour visit.
By his biker friends.
By his biker friends.
Right. He felt safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like guardian angels.
Right. And
He didn't know them. He had no clue who they were. They just came to play and empower him.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, our founder says, okay, I think I'm onto something.
Oh my gosh.
Started in 1995, and now we're in 48 states and 19 countries.
Wow. 48 states and 19 countries. So you are an international organization.
Yes.
Holy smokes. And you all started out in Orange County.
Orange County, California.
Yeah.
From California.
So tell me how you all got into the program yourselves. What brought you into it? If you can, if it's not too.
I will. I may get a little choked up, but.
Okay.
So, Morticia and I both come from the cemetery funeral industry. And I had a little girl, 10 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes, that I had to get ready for a viewing.
Oh.
Unfortunately, this little girl passed from abuse.
Oh my goodness.
So I went home that night and just let it all out. I cried,
Yeah.
Sat on the front porch, just sat there, and Morticia looks at me and she goes, why don't you just go in, get on Facebook or whatever, just take your mind off. Went, got on Facebook, saw a Baca video,
Oh my gosh.
called her, I said, we found it. So
Oh my gosh.
we started looking at it. I reached out to the state and they said, well, this is good because we want to start a chapter in Orange County.
Oh my gosh. I have serious
So
goosebumps.
from that day on, her and I committed and said, we're going to do everything we can to protect these abused children.
You're not going to have another
And,
viewing
yeah.
for a
It
young
took us 2
child.
years to get our chapter together, starting out as a fresh chapter, starting from scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
We worked really hard for these patches, and the patches give us the right to be a primary to a child. But when you're starting from scratch and you have to deal with everything, Fester worked really hard to keep this chapter together. He built his chapter to 30 members in our chapter, which is big. It was one of the biggest chapters and talked about chapters in California because we busted the bubble. We tried really hard. We got in where people said we couldn't get in.
Mm-hmm.
This guy here, he got in
Won't
there.
take no, yeah.
The more you tell him no, the more
The more I fight.
the more he's going to fight you. But it got us where we are today. And, we've been in Baca,
10 years.
10 years
Yeah,
now.
November was 10 years.
Wow. You said patches. So tell me the significance. You said you earned your patches. Tell me the significance of that. And then this is on YouTube, but for those listening on the podcast platforms, there are, just describe the patches. Tell me about them. And
So in Baca, you have a supporter and you have a patch member.
okay.
The difference is a patch member is you can be a primary to a child. And that's the ultimate goal.
Okay.
And I'll get into the primary part
Okay.
later on. So we have like 42 training videos that's mandated for us to watch before we can become a patch member. And then it takes a year or longer to get your patch. So that's why we wear the back patch. And if you want to.
Oh, wow.
So this is our back patch.
And for those listening who can't see it, it's a large patch. It goes across the back of their jacket. It says Baca on a fist.
Yeah.
And then Bikers Against Child Abuse, Southwest Missouri chapter.
And the colors in our patch are significant too.
Okay.
Is the innocent of the child.
The white fist. Okay.
Yep. The red is the bloodshed from the child.
Sure.
The black is the dark times the child has gone through. The fist is the
Fight against child abuse.
yeah.
Sure.
The skull and crossbones is death to child abuse.
Okay.
And the chains is our united organization.
Oh, I love that.
So our patch
I love it.
has a meaning to it,
Yeah.
And this is a one-piece patch. Where people think, oh, you're a biker, you're a patch member and all that stuff. Biker clubs have 3 patches.
Or
They're-
2 patches.
Or 2 patches.
Two
They have
pieces.
a big patch and they have a rocker on the bottom. That makes them a motorcycle club. We are not a motorcycle club. We're an
Okay.
affiliation.
We're a nonprofit
We're a
organization.
nonprofit, so we have a one-piece patch that has been approved through all the COC, which is Coalition of Clubs. But like I said, we worked really hard for it to get them. They don't come easy. When we got patched, we were at a state meeting, which was really nice because we'd worked 2+ years to get them, and everybody knew we were due for our patches, and so we got our patches at state meeting. That was really fun. Nice.
And there's, to me, that's significant because, and I know you'll explain this, but when you meet a child, don't they get a vest with
Yes.
a patch?
Yes, they do. They
Yeah.
get there. When we bring a child into our organization, who's ever has called our hotline, child's been vetted, which means they're fit for Baca. We're able to help them. Our child liaison has information on them, information we don't know. she puts it out to the board. Hey, this child's a good fit. Board says okay. She sets up an intake, and then they go out. They do an intake, and they talk to the child, and they let them pick their own road name. They get to pick their own road name. It could be whatever they want. We've had Sparkle, Unicorn, Glitter. We've had Sonic. We've had Amy. Just variable names, and then we make them a cut. And it has their name on it and it has little decoration, and they get their own back patch.
Yeah.
And their back patch has flames on it or it's plain. And then their bottom piece says, I will not live in fear. So, and then we present it to them and they get their primaries at that time is when we assign them to primaries.
Okay, so I want to back up and really start from scratch because there's so many pieces here that we're touching on, and I want to bring the puzzle together. What is the mission of BACA?
To empower abused children not to feel afraid of the world in which they live.
Yeah, I love that. To empower abused children not to be afraid of the world
in which
they live. That is a beautiful mission. So tell me, when you get a call, you get a notification that there is a child in your wherever, because you can go anywhere, but there's a child that needs help and support. How does BACA kick in?
So what happens is we'll get a call on our helpline,
Okay.
Which is actually 1-800-469-8045. We either get a call or we'll get an email. And what happens is our child liaison, who's the one that usually answers the phone, and then if she doesn't answer, it rolls over to me, and then so on down our chain. But our child liaison will gather information.
Okay.
She's the only one, because of the training she's gone through, and that she's the only one that's going to know the child's real name.
Okay.
Or any personal information.
Okay. So that's very, very
and we do that
close,
for confidentiality and anonymity for the child.
Great.
Even as a president, I don't know the child's real name.
Gotcha.
So she's going to vet the call.
Okay.
Has it been reported? Now, reported could be to counselor,
I see.
school therapist, as long as we know it's been reported.
Okay.
Okay. Has been reported. Is a child living in fear?
Okay.
Because that's our mission, is to help these child get through the fear part. And does the child live with the perpetrator? Now, the reason we ask that question is because if you have an abused child living in the home where the abuse is taking place, we can't really help that child.
Oh, gosh.
Because now we're going against the law.
Okay.
So, we have to walk a fine line on that. So once she vets this call, then she's going to set up what we call an intake. That's where myself, my sergeant at arms, which is security, our child liaison will go out and we'll meet the child for the first time. And we'll meet the guardians, whether it's CASA guardian or CASA family or whoever. So we'll meet the guardians and the child. And we'll start explaining BACA to the child. And at that point, it's the child's decision.
Okay.
Because the children run BACA, basically.
Okay.
It's going to be the child's decision whether they want to be a part of BACA or not. So if they do, then what we're going to do is we're going to have the child pick a road name. So, like I say, I go by Fester. We got Morticia. We have Goat, Tree, Bumblebee, Weeble. We've got all over the spectrum.
Jellybean.
So the child picks a road name, and that's the only name that the whole chapter or anybody in BACA is going to know that child by. We're not going to know the child's real name.
Right.
So the child picks their name, then they pick their own little back patch, like what Trish was explaining earlier, and then we make them a denim cut. We call these cuts.
Okay.
Some people call them vests, we call them cuts.
Okay.
So the child picks their back patch and that. So now, when Jellybean's talking to the child, she's trying to find interests. Like what's their favorite color, subject, different things.
Cheerleading, what kind of food they like, different things like that.
Yeah.
Because what she's doing is she's trying to figure out what primaries she's going to pair the child up with.
Okay.
Because the goal is to put the child in the primaries where they have something in common.
Sure.
so they can start building that bond. So she'll be taking down this information. She'll come back to the board. We'll vote on it. Then we set up what we call a level 1.
Okay.
And that's where the chapter comes out. Sometimes people from other chapters come out. And we bring the child into BACA. So we'll get there. We will assign to the 2 primaries.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll present the child with their own cut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That kind of brings them in the family at that point.
And how long does, from the time you meet that child till they're brought in at this point, what's that time?
It could be a week or 2 weeks. It
Okay.
depends on the urgency.
Okay.
Because, we have to order the road name and stuff like that.
Right.
But usually it's within a week to 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then we're bringing the child in.
We've done them sooner. We've had
Yeah,
emergency
we've
cases
done
where
them-
we've shown up like the next day.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
just depends on what's happening with that particular family.
Right.
And they're all different, so
Right.
it just depends.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So the primaries present the cut, and then we give them a big BACA blanket
Yeah.
and a teddy bear. And the teddy bear is kind of significant for us because we fill it with biker love, and that's when we introduce ourselves to the child.
I love that.
So then another fun part for the child is we'll take them for a motorcycle ride.
Cool.
As long as, the parents say yes or guardian says yes and the child wants to go, we'll take them for a short ride. Some of these kids have never been on a motorcycle.
Right.
So then after that, after we're done with level 1, then the primaries start doing follow-ups.
Okay.
So every couple weeks they go out and they do follow-ups with the child and they start building that bond. And it's really important, especially if they have court.
Yeah, this part gets me.
Because what happens is when a child has to go to court, normally the family, mom, dad, whoever is subpoenaed, they can't be in the courtroom with them. So it's just the child, the lawyer, the victim advocate. Well, sometimes these children are testifying against family members. Family members are saying to the child, you're dreaming this didn't happen. So this child feels helpless. Well, we go to court with the child. And this is where kind of our road name comes in a little bit for help, because you can't subpoena Fester in a court of law.
Oh, nice.
And if they ask her, she doesn't know her name.
She doesn't
She
know
only
her
knows
name.
this is Fester and
Sure.
Morticia.
Sure.
And I only know her as Rainbow Dash Survivor,
Yeah.
whatever name they pick.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know her real name. So we're able to sit
Yeah.
in the court while they testify.
Okay.
And at that time, that is the only time that anybody in the chapter will know what happened to that child.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
That would be tough.
yeah.
And it's tough for the children too, because for one, they have to relive it.
Yeah.
And for two, here they have these strangers all around them. Even though we're there for them, they're embarrassed.
Right.
They're at that point where they don't want their business out there.
Right.
It's bad enough they have to live through it. Even though we are there for them. So we've been asked to wear earplugs before. We've been asked, by children to not be in the court because they don't, they'll pick certain ones to be with them because, that's traumatizing for one
Right.
of them. And again, they're having to relive it. And that's, again.
And tell their story.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fabulous thing. What I remember when I learned about this, one of the things that stuck with me was you've had instances where you guys will surround the child as they walk into court to keep the perpetrator from being able to make eye contact.
Or anybody on that side of
Yeah.
the court.
Yeah. So we do surround the child when we go into court. And when we go into the court, we'll put the child in the corner and we'll sit around. And it keeps the intimidation down.
Yeah.
And I need to make this clear is we don't care about the perpetrator.
Right.
Yeah.
No sympathy.
That's the furthest from our mind.
Right.
Our thing is the safety of the child.
Right. You're not there to make anything easier
not
for the
there.
perpetrator. You're there to
Right.
protect that baby.
Protect the child. We don't, and whatever the verdict comes down, whether guilty, not guilty, 10 years, probation, whatever, we don't react to that.
It's not our place.
It's not our place. And whatever the decision is, we still support that child, no matter what.
Right.
Now we've had children that want to sit right in front. They want eye contact.
Sure.
They want that person put away, and
Right.
they want to see every bit of it.
Yeah.
I've had a little girl that she was just elated to see that he was in shackles, after everything that he had done to her. And she sat front row. And when he got sentenced, she was just like, let's go. We're having ice cream. We're out.
Yeah.
And because to her, he's going to be locked away for a long time.
She was
and
safe.
What happens in jail. And she feels safe now.
Yeah.
She's got us. He's locked away. And she can move forward with her life.
With court, a BACA child does not have to have court
Okay.
for us to take that case.
Sure.
I personally prefer they don't have court because they don't have to relive it.
Right.
And that's just a selfish thing with me. But our age limit is from 3 to 18.
Okay.
Okay.
That helps.
And even when court is done, that child is still a BACA child
Right.
because they control this. They tell us when they don't need us.
When
Yeah.
they're empowered enough to
Right.
stand on their own.
Right.
And we can
Yeah.
fade away.
And then we also have a therapy fund set up.
Okay.
So when there are government resources in that, because usually when a child has been abused, they get resources. They get therapy, they get so many sessions in that. And when that stuff runs out, we will actually pick up the therapy cost.
Okay. That's
for the,
phenomenal.
For the family, for the child.
For the child, not the family.
Not the family,
Okay.
just the child.
The child.
Yeah.
Just the child.
We will pick up the therapy cost for that child.
Okay.
But we'll have resources for the families. If you call us and say it's something that we can't help them with, we have other resources, and we'll refer them to other agencies that can help them with what's particularly going on with them, like family therapy and things like that.
Sure.
But basically, we're here for the child.
Yeah.
But we do have other resources for other family members.
Child
and
focus. Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. I love this. It touches my heart. I don't know if that's because I'm a mom. I don't know. But for whatever reason, you guys have stolen a big piece of my heart. And I'm so grateful to know about this. And thank you for sharing the stories. And what I remember from everything that you told me is you guys make this relationship, this bond with these kids, and then it's just not over after a court.
Right.
You're with them
Well, some kids
Until
don't
they're
even have
18.
court.
until they're 18, and then I think you were telling me about one individual who, even after 18, was like, "Please stay in my life." It's
Oh yeah. She's a great girl.
Yeah,
she was one of our first BACA
She was,
children.
she was actually my first child I was primary for. We've been invited to her wedding, baby
Yeah.
showers, Oh.
And she picked the road name as Survivor. I'm just going to throw her out there. And that girl is. She has cut the cord. She's moved on.
she's just felt empowered to build a life. Otherwise, who knows?
She is awesome.
Yeah.
She's created a beautiful life for herself and her children and broke that cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we're here to do, is break the chain of abuse. And unfortunately, being in as many countries and as big as we are, that's a lot of abuse.
Yes.
That's a lot. So it's a lot to put out there. But when we roll up on our motorcycles, these kids are so scared, and they come running to us.
Yeah.
That is BACA magic right there. They have no
Yeah.
clue. We're superheroes rolling in capes, being loud and being bikers, and that just puts a smile on their face, and they run to us.
And they feel safe.
They feel safe. They don't judge us. They don't go, oh my God, they're bikers.
Yeah.
No.
And I love that because we were talking about this earlier. One of the stigmas that happens with the north side of town is we have a stigma of what poverty looks like, right?
Right.
And I think that can carry over in so many categories in life. We see something from the exterior and we believe we know the situation. And it's changing that perspective. It's understanding what true safety, what true strength, what, intestinal fortitude, as we used to say, what that looks like. And it doesn't come in a prepackaged design. It has motorcycles with it. It has houses that are falling down around people's ears that we need to fix. It has people living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, those are
on the street.
exactly. And
it's too much.
Not something where people just need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. But I love the way BACA has just become this safety net for kids. What happens if the perpetrator is in the home? You said you can't necessarily help, so tell me what happens
there. Say you have a BACA child who the perpetrator still has legal rights, and say they has to go do a visit, we can't go to that visit because one, it's a perpetrator, but we'll either go, like say they're going for a weekend, say they have to go to their dad's house for the weekend. We'll go see the child usually on a Friday before they go, and then probably Monday we'll send them a text message or they'll call us and say, okay, yeah, it was okay, it was good. So we stay in contact with them. It's just when they're at their visitation, I'll keep it to the visitation. So when they're at the visitation, we don't get involved.
Well, I think it helps. It helps them too to know that maybe if you're not there physically, you're there in spirit, and they feel like they have that guardian angel, so they're a little more protected. And again, back to empowerment, right? Because maybe that perpetrator knows this little one has a support group that goes beyond just the other parent or somebody at school. These are some people who can really affect change. Yeah.
When we have a child that has to go and testify, we'll give them a coin or a ring. Or we have little wood coins that have BACAs on them, just so they have something to fidget with. So they're sitting up there and they're just kind of keeping their mind off of things. We had one girl, she just sat there and banged it the whole time.
Yeah.
She was up there, which was great because, she was
that's what she
resetting
needed.
and she needed to do it. And again, it was just empowering for her to have that with her.
Yeah. I love everything about BACA. It's ever since I met you guys, I tell so many people about it because we all probably have encountered something and we're like, well, I don't know what to do. I can't help. I'm just me. And we have one more resource, right? You should be aware of what's going on with the children in your life. And this is one more resource, and it's a huge one, so that if you think there's something happening, report it. If you see something, say something, right? That's one of the things that we've really, really learned in the past few decades. If you see something, say something. What is the best way I know you mentioned the helpline, right? Is that the best way for people to get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, so they can, the helpline's 1-800-469-8045.
Okay.
Or you can go to bacaworld.org.
bacaworld.org, and we'll put that in the notes on the show.
And at the top, there's a link. You click chapters, and then you find your state.
Okay.
And then you click on your state, and it's going to bring up every chapter in that state.
Okay.
So, for example, in Missouri, we have 13 chapters here. So we cover all of Missouri. And then they just look for their county, what county they're in. They click that link, and it'll take them right to their Southwest Missouri chapter.
Okay.
It'll take them to our website and has information, email, contacts, and stuff like that.
Okay.
With that being said, if a BACA child moves from, say, Missouri to Oklahoma, and they still want to participate in being a BACA child, we'll let the Oklahoma chapter know to contact that family.
Okay.
And then they'll go ahead. So, because we can transfer anywhere. We can transfer kids all the time.
Okay.
Even just from northern Missouri down here, from Kansas City to here. Because kids have court all over.
Sure.
And so we need to let them know, hey, they have court. They'll come out and help us.
Okay.
Or if they have to come back for court, we'll go ahead and step back in with that.
Or like when the kids are in the foster, some kids do get moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have one girl in particular, and I won't mention any names, but she's been in 3 different chapters.
Because she's been
in
moved
Missouri,
around
because
so
she's
many
been moved
times.
around so much. But she still keeps in contact
Yeah.
with myself and Jellybean.
And
Because we were
there
the first ones to meet her.
there is a sense of consistency there because Baca is the same wherever you go.
Yes.
That same level of care and kindness, and that's got to be a sense of relief to a child who does have to be moved around in new environments. Do you also have a Facebook page?
Yeah.
Is that
It's Bikers
a helpful
Against Child
resource?
You can get some resources on there.
Okay.
But it's on Facebook. It's Bikers Against Child Abuse, Inc.
Okay.
or International.
Okay. And then you can find Fester and Morticia and some of the other individuals at the different events we have here at the Fairbanks. So I know for one, the Fairbanks Fall Festival, which is in September this year, you guys hopefully will be there.
We will be
there
with
for sure. I got
Yeah.
it on my calendar.
the
And
popcorn machine.
I mean, any of them. We'll have our Children's Fashion Forward fashion show. I'd love to have you guys come to that. I mean, you're always welcome. So that's the cool part. I could talk to Fester and Morticia for hours because the stories, what they're doing, the way they're helping it will bring you to tears, you know? And I remember the first time I talked with them, you know, I had tears. You can't help it because one, it's unbelievable what happens to our kids sometimes. And 2, it's unbelievable to know that there are these guardian angels out there who are stepping in and protecting them. And they literally do protect them physically. I've heard stories of where they will sleep in the front yard, they will sleep on the floor of the house, whatever it takes to make that child feel like they can sleep at night. That is what Baca will do for those kids. So please, if you'd like to know more, maybe donate to the program, find out more about the program. Maybe you need them in your life. Please contact the helpline. Again, we'll have that at the bottom of the screen, and in the show notes. But it is 800-469-8045. So if you need help, call them today. And I'm just so thankful to have had you both here. I really appreciate it. Your mission is important. Long live Baca. I wish there wasn't a need for it, but I'm so thankful that you're there.
We
always
say
say
we're
that.
trying to
Yeah.
work ourselves out of a job, but we
Yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
not going to go away. And we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
Everything we do
All volunteers.
comes out of, like my travel and that comes out of my money.
Yeah.
But the gas on my motorcycle, the maintenance, all that.
And we have
You know, we
everybody,
don't get
all
paid.
walks of life.
Wow.
We have from lawyers to truckers to city people. I mean, everybody's
Wow.
volunteered. And they volunteer their own time. And let me tell you, sometimes it's a lot of time. I'm
Right.
really busy right now.
Right.
And a lot of people that volunteer, as like myself, are survivors because, you know, I'm in the older age. We didn't have Baca back then. We didn't talk about things back then.
Right.
You know, it's just kind of like
You didn't have resources.
you don't have it that we have now. And
You
so
weren't empowered.
it feels good now to be able to give back. It's sad to know that it hasn't gone away, but it is. But we are all volunteers. We all give of our own time, and we all come with our own special things. Like I'm the event coordinator because I love to put little parties together and do things like that. And he's our our president, and he's our state PR guy, and the PR guy. He's the PR guy. So we all come with our specialties, and so we utilize them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you give of your time and your resources. That
Yeah.
is what true volunteerism is.
Yeah, I think I actually give more time at Baca than I do my job.
And his wife.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I am
thank you for having
very
us.
appreciative.
Just need to get the word out there.
Yeah.
The more
Yeah.
we get it out there, the better it is.
Yep,
So.
we will. Well, we will get that word out there. That's so vital and so important. Reach out if you are in need, and they will do everything they can to make a difference and empower. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We love coming here.
Good. Well, we love having you. And we will see you all with the next episode. I don't know where, when, or how that will be, but we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for joining us.